It has been a long time since I've tied a tie. Oh, still got it. Still tying it like a middle schooler. Time properly. Hey guys, it's Abby from Abby of Pellinor, and today I'm going to be doing the school book tag. I have the prompts on my phone. I really need to take this hat off. This is my graduation cap from my undergrad. I didn't get to graduate from my postgrad because, well, yeah. And this is my tie from middle school. I went to kind of a weird UK system. Middle school was from ages 9 to 12, which is unusual in the UK, and that is the one where I had to wear a tie. The first question is, in the times of day, which everyone does, the first bell. Tell us about the book that first got you into reading. And I can't. I don't have a book. I have been reading all of my life. My mum very much encouraged it when I was little. They would always read books to me, and I don't remember like learning to read. I don't remember a book that made me want to read. I just have always read. Always. I think there's like, my parents have a memory of me reading a newspaper when I was little because I was just like, yeah, words. I want to read words. So, I'm one of those ones. Sorry. Break time. Which book have you most recently had to take a break from or DNF? Would have been 11/22/63, which was back in 2019. I paused it and I've not resumed it since. There are other books that I've had paused, but I've resumed them and I'm either reading them or have read them. I'll pick it back up eventually, but I'm reading some other big books right now. Lunchtime. Tell us about your favourite book that features food. What? The Gift? Shh. The Gift by Alison Croggon? They eat a lot of food. They eat a lot of food. They're always sitting down to eat. Mushrooms. Cadman loves mushrooms. They're disgusting, but Cadman loves mushrooms. I don't really read books about food, so that's the best you're getting. Final bell. Which book have you most recently finished reading? So this will obviously timestamp the video. It's not going up at this point. It's going up whenever I can be asked to edit it. But I recently just finished rereading the first book in the Skulduggery Pleasant series. You guys might know I love this series. I made a standalone video for it. Homework. What was the last non-fiction book that you read and enjoyed? Where is it? The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks by Rebecca Skloot is fantastic. It talks about HeLa cells which have been used to create every medical advancement. I'm exaggerating, but you get it. And people just kind of ignore the fact that Henrietta existed. So this not only looks at what HeLa did, the cells, but also looks at Henrietta. It's a great read. Staff room. Tell us about a book that you go to when you need to take a breath. See, I haven't done this in a while. I used to reread all the time as a kid, and I don't as much now because I still have so many books on my TBR that I haven't read. I'm gonna go with the Roman Mystery series. It's a historical fiction set in ancient Rome, follows some kind of like Scooby-Doo-esque situations but put them in ancient Rome. Scooby-Doo-esque? It's nothing like, more like Famous Five. It's not like mystical, it's just mysteries. I love those books so much, so I'll say those. And then now for the subjects. English. Tell us about one book you studied in school and recommend one book that you would like to add to the curriculum. So obviously I studied loads of different books in school. One I enjoyed at the time but don't plan to reread is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper. We read Twilight in year 9 because my teacher was trying to be cool. Bless her, she was actually really like actually paying attention to what the kids wanted to read. What would I add to the curriculum? I think either Passing or The Vanishing Half. Either or. The Passing if they want to go down a more like, oh, we need to read the classics route. Both of them are about two sisters who are black but they're light skinned and they could pass as white or they could be perceived as black, and the discrimination that comes with that, and both books kind of look at one sister going one route and one sister going the other. The Vanishing Half was very much inspired by The Passing, but obviously that's written in a modern context and The Passing is written back in day, so it's a classic. So either one of those is what I would pick to go on the curriculum. Maths. How do I rate my books? So I rate my books on a 1 to 5 scale. Sometimes I will mention half stars, but I have been using Goodreads. I'm looking to switch over to Storygraph, but so I've been kind of bumping them one way or the other. And lately I have been using Corpile, made by G at Book Roast, just to actually kind of get a real look at how I'm rating my books. So she has like a mathematical formula you put in for 5 or 6 different categories, and then it comes out with 1 to 5 stars that you would rate the book. So I'm using that. I will leave G's video about it linked down below, because she made a new spreadsheet for 2021. It's really handy, and it makes it difficult to get 5 stars, but it does make your rating really uniform. The only problem is it doesn't work for non-fiction books. Science. Which book couple do you think has the best chemistry? I am not a big romance reader. I really like Matthias and Nina in Six of Crows. That's the first time I've ever understood the OTP concept. If I go with a non-romantic couple, I'm going with Eleanor and Gideon out of Queendom of the Seven Lakes. Like, they work so well together. Like, they're such a great pairing of people. Geography! The subject that I ended up doing a degree in. Describe a book that has a strong sense of place or great world building. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon is absolutely fantastic for world building. So when you start out the series, the very base of it is set in London, using London geography and places in London. Seven Dials is a big core of the books, but she doesn't just go, okay, you can look up London, you might already know London, it's London. She adds a lot into it and adds loads of details and kind of builds upon that foundation, and I think that's done very well. I didn't study history, I didn't study religious studies. PE. Show us the biggest book on your TBR. Well, see, like, do you mean like the most pages or the fattest? This is probably one of the physically biggest, but the actual like biggest book on my TBR is a paperback Ken Follett. I think it's The World Without End, which comes in at like 1,000 pages. But because this is hardback and that one's paperback, this looks bigger. So there you go. That's a good enough representation. Music. I did music. Which reading format do you think has the best rhythm for reading? I prefer physical books. I like being able to see the progress that I'm making. I know that it's going to be formatted correctly in a physical book. Sometimes with ebooks it isn't. Audiobooks are great, but I have to speed them up because I read quite fast. And so that can be quite annoying, and also the same problem of not being able to physically see how far through the book you are. Like, this gives me more motivation than knowing that I'm 20% of the way through. This is more motivating, so I prefer physical books. Hardback versus paperback, probably paperback for reading just because it's easier to hold. I can only really hold a book with one hand probably. This one's a bit dodgy, so paperback. Modern foreign languages. Recommend a mode that you enjoyed. So I did French and German at GCSE. Ich verstehe nicht. I was going to speak French and then said ich verstehe nicht. Je ne comprends pas le français parce que je suis anglais. Ich verstehe ein kleiner bisschen von Deutsch, aber ich bin sehr scheiße. So, es ist nicht so gut. I have been trying to learn German a lot more. Don't really care about French. I was just kind of, they were like, oh, she's clever enough to do 2 languages, and so I had to do 2. Yay. But I've actually been trying to learn German. I'm just very bad at it. Very bad at it. There's too many thes. Why are there 16 thes? But yes, so I did Modern Foreign Language, and I do have a favourite translated book, which is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. I don't read Japanese, unfortunately, but this is a fantastic, beautiful fantasy book. One that I don't go on about as much would be The Princess Plot by Kirstin Boie. That's translated from German, and I didn't know that when I was reading it, but I really, really enjoyed that book when I was younger. So we did like English separately, so English literature and English language, but this only has one English, and I did biology, chemistry, physics rather than science, but this only has one science. So that's that. I am going to tag the usual but slightly different. I'm going to tag Veronica. If you've gotten this far in the video, Veronica, I tag you to do the school tag. Do it. Have fun. And then I'm also going to tag Carrie and Caitlin. As per usual, their channels will be linked down below, and thank you Eleanor for tagging me. Her channel will be linked down below as well, along with the original video, if I can find it, from Eleanor's video. I hope you put it in, because I'm going to nick it. But that is the school book tag. What did you study in school? What was your favourite subject to study up until you were 16? Which is, in England at least, when you finish your kind of mandatory schooling. And from that point onwards it's a lot more optional, but you do get some choices up to that point in England. So yeah, let me know up to 16 what your favourite subject was. I would probably say, in terms of actually learning, geography, but we didn't do anything in music. Music was very easy. I haven't played in years, but at the time I could play clarinet and piano, and I have my grade 6 in piano and grade 5 in clarinet, so music class was very easy because I already knew most of the stuff. So we would just kind of sit around, play our instruments, have a chat, sometimes about the music, sometimes not, to the point where with my arm injury, that day I had music, French, music, and I didn't notice that I had damaged my arm until French, the third class of the day, because we don't do anything in music. So, in terms of actually learning geography, in terms of the actual enjoyment of the class, music. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!